Hello, everybody. I'll be chatting with Muhiddin Tojiev from Tajikistan about his work at a non-profit NGO Sadoqat, a non-profit based in Tajikistan. This is the first time I'm covering somebody from Tajikistan. It's a country in Central Asia and a fantastic country. The non-profit is doing a great job. It's enabling social change and impact for underprivileged section of the society through equitable education. Now that's very important for the Middle Road platform. Whenever we're talking about equitable education, that's one of the core themes of the Middle Road platform. Women empowerment and healthcare. So these are very important themes. I give a very brief introduction of Muhiddin. I'll just tell you a bit about the Middle Road. The Middle Road is a thought leadership platform enabling social change and impact within the global arena. The startup blends online education with media, offering various online courses, diverse subjects, and comprehensive publications, educational videos, podcasts, forums, etc. Check out www.themiddleroad.org for a detailed understanding of the mission and vision of the for-profit social impact venture. A brief description of Muhiddin. Now, Muhiddin Tojiev is from Devastich district of Tajikistan. I hope I got that right.
Absolutely.
He's earned his BA in translation in 2004, and he's got a higher education diploma, which is equivalent to a master's in arts as an English teacher. He got the degree in 2005 from Gujarat State University. Muhiddin has he's worn many hats, and his work experience includes position as an independent contractor for the BBC World Monitoring Service, Central Asia Unit 2003 to 2005. That's where he worked. Press and Public Affairs Officer at the British Embassy in Dushanbe from 2005 to 2007, and Public Education Specialist at International Finance Corporation, Tajikistan, from 2007 to 2009. Tojiev joined NGO Sadoqat as a fundraising and partnerships volunteer in 2019 and has successfully raised funds for construction of 2 additional classrooms in secondary school number 51 in Gazantarak village, Gazantarak village. I don't know if that's correct. Now, however, the list of his accomplishments includes the refurbishment of surgery and intensive care units of Devastich District Central Hospital, as well as project on support of hospitals in Istavasan, Shashristan, and Dijavajistris district from COVID-19 response through crowdfunding. Muhiddin is full of desire to continue his work to improve the rural population access to quality education and healthcare services in Tajikistan. So very warm welcome, Mr. Tojiev. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for this opportunity and for considering our NGO to be as one of your heroes in a series of the important and interesting podcasts you are doing and sharing with your readers and spectators. And this is a great opportunity, which I highly appreciate. It's a great honor and pleasure to be with you today.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate joining, and I got to know, like I said, I saw NGO, your esteemed nonprofit, following the Middle Road Twitter handle, and I thought I checked it up and I saw that you're doing some really great work and it needs to be highlighted. And I really appreciate your management, coming and joining in for a podcast. Now, I'll give a brief introduction about the nonprofit. NGO Sadoqat is a nonprofit and non-commercial organization established in 2000 and officially registered with the Ministry of Justice of Tajikistan. Sadoqat is committed to improving rural lives through thoughtful partnerships and sustainable practice. The organization implemented about 25 projects in various fields, including but not limited to women and youth empowerment, reproductive health, healthy lifestyle among the youth, prevention of sexually transmitted diseases, support of persons with disabilities. Now, herein I did work in a visually impaired school for some time. I volunteered in India, in Pune. So I have some experience with working with people with disabilities. You also you have projects in English skills improvement and education, healthcare infrastructure with support of various donor institutions during 20 years of your operation. So you have been in existence for 20 years. So that's for a long period of time. Currently, the NGO, the non-profit, has been raising funds through the global giving crowdfunding platform. And I think this is a very good idea. Going through such a prestigious platform, is going to help you raise funds globally to implement on the projects on improvement of the rural population's access to quality healthcare and education services. First, thanks for joining a riveting conversation. And we talk about your non-profit. Now, when we talk about NGO Sadoqat, which is registered also with Ministry of Justice of Tajikistan. This is just to give the audience. This is the first podcast with any entity and actor from Tajikistan. Now, it's a fascinating country, and we'll come to know a bit also about the country. When we look at some of the projects which I talked about, I'll just give you a brief. Also, when we go into free flow, but just wanted to give you a brief about the global development sector which is happening in Tajikistan. So, Tajikistan joined the World Bank in 1993, the International Development Association (IDA) in 1994, and Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency (Micra), which is a part of the World Bank Group, in 2002. Micra has not so far provided any political risk guarantees for investment projects in Tajikistan as of now. But just to sort of highlight it, now during this time, now there's a lot of commendable things which have happened. The World Bank has invested about 1.4 billion to support Tajikistan's effort to reduce poverty and improve people's life. Now, between 2000 and 2018, the poverty rate fell from 83% to about 27.4%. Whereas the economy stabilized and it's grown over a period of time, I think almost a decade, at 7% per year. Talk about your non-profit. Do share your journey about the non-profit.
Thank you very much indeed for this great opportunity once again. Let me start from the experience of NGO Sadoqat at the beginning. As you have rightfully mentioned, NGO Sadoqat was established back in 2000 when Tajikistan just came out of the civil war. At that time, NGO Sadoqat was established initially as a women's support organization because mostly women in rural areas were in a greater need of support from any source they might have it. In this regard, the founders of the NGO Sadoqat have decided to create their NGOs in order to be able to support those suffering women. Thus, from 2000 to present, NGO Sadoqat has implemented a number of projects with the support of different development organizations. And the projects included, but not limited to, women's empowerment, youth empowerment, improvement of the conditions of the persons with disabilities, as well as improvement of the situation on reproductive health and prevention of the sexually transmissible diseases, particularly among the young people in different areas of its operation. So far, NGO has been successful in implementation of its projects in an effective and transparent manner. And over the time, the NGO Sadoqat has also expanded its mandate, ranging from just women's support to wider support of rural areas. Over the recent years, we have been focusing on many areas related to the rural development. And as you have also rightfully mentioned, we have been focusing on improvement of infrastructure of the healthcare and education facilities in rural areas where people have less access compared to those citizens living in urban areas. Why I joined the NGO Sadoqat? Because I come from rural area myself, and I was also among those young people from remote areas who personally experienced various difficulties in life. Particularly, half of my study at the secondary school coincided with the civil war going on in Tajikistan. That has doubled our challenges. Therefore, it was my dream from my childhood that I would do something for the improvement of rural lives if I would have an opportunity. Now I am really honored and pleased to have this opportunity and to be able to support rural people in improving their living standards.
That's great to hear. Now you talked about civil war, and just sort of, I just want to take a thing. I mean, it must have been very hard for you, right? There was a lot of uncertainty. Now you live in a situation which is by far much more certain. How do you think that's transformed at least your experience and that in the rural sector? Rural sector is major. I mean, 20% of the agriculture GDP is about 20% of the GDP in Tajikistan. So rural sector is such an important sector for Tajikistan.
Definitely, the country, I mean, Tajikistan was in a chaos and full of uncertainty in the beginning of 2000s. Only physically, we can say somewhere in 2010, the real development phase of Tajikistan has started. Since Tajikistan is a mountainous country, and 93% of its territory is covered by mountains. Only 7% of arable land is available in the country. Definitely, agriculture plays an important role for the country's economy. As you have rightfully mentioned, about 70% of the Tajik population lives in rural areas, and 60% of the labor force is engaged in agriculture in different regions of the country. Definitely, there was a really difficult period, but thanks to the constructive efforts of the government of Tajikistan, and particularly the President of the Republic of Tajikistan, His Excellency Imam Ali Rahman, we have managed to transform the paralyzed agriculture sector of the country into a growing one. Now, the agriculture sector of Tajikistan has already opportunity not only to supply the internal market with food products, but also to export some fruits and vegetables and other agricultural products to other countries of the region and the world.
Talked about political. Just to sort of come in here, I mean there are a lot of constraints. Very frankly, even until some time back, COVID-19 was not even officially recognized there. Looking at that constraints, how effectively have you been able to work out? There are a lot of constructive things you have done. You've done amazing work for education. You have done phenomenal work in healthcare, and as we go forward, we look at also a couple of your projects. But how has been? Has it been very easy for you? Certainly, it won't have been very easy for you.
First of all, I would like to kindly request to, let's say, put the different things separately. Of course, my country, my government has registered the COVID cases when it has emerged in our country. Until that, the Ministry of Health of Tajikistan and the government of the country has immediately closed the borders after the pandemic started spreading across the world, and the government and the Ministry of Health of the country had been taking all possible measures in order to prevent the country from the spread of this cholera of this century. However, in April of 2022, we had the first cases and the government had registered it. On the other hand, I would refrain talking about the COVID and registration cases, but rather talk about the operation of NGOs in the country, since I am talking on behalf of the NGO Sadoqat in this discussion. Well, I believe that the necessary environment has been created by the Tajik government for the operation of the NGOs for the development of our society. Wouldn't there be support from the government of Tajikistan, from relevant ministries and agencies, and particularly from our partners at the local level, including the local executive authorities of the districts where we have been implementing the projects? We would not have been able to reach this level.
Okay.
Thanks to this partnership and cooperation, now we have been successfully implementing these projects on education and healthcare.
Okay, cool. Now, you talked about healthcare. Do take us through. I mean, you're doing some fantastic work in healthcare. You're specifically in the rural sector. Now, do talk about your projects. You can talk about one project, or you can talk about a very global overview you want to share with the audience.
I think that it would be more reasonable if I could talk about the healthcare situation in the districts where we have been implementing projects, because I'm afraid that I would not have mandate to talk about the healthcare situation even in my country, because I'm not expert on that one.
No, what I mean to say, you talk about your experience, not about the whole country. Talk about your experience, any project or anything you want to talk about.
As I already outlined earlier, everything comes from my personal experience. As I come from rural area, particularly I am from Devashtich district, I also had witnessed several cases when my district hospital was in a great need of support. For example, my mom was hospitalized there, my brother was hospitalized, and my other relatives were hospitalized. And I saw that there were lack of some equipment, some very basic conditions to provide quality and better healthcare services. Therefore, we decided to make this project. First of all, I have to outline that Devashtich district, where we have been implementing projects currently, is subsidized by the national budget by 70%. Okay. Because it has no industrial facility or enterprise in order to make good revenues to be able to support the development of the district. In this regard, we have offered our hand of support to the local authorities, to the Devashtich District Central Hospital, in order to make some contribution for improvement of access to quality healthcare by rural people. Currently, in Devashtich district, they have about 17 healthcare facilities, including both health centers, as they are called in our country, as well as health points in remote areas of the district. The district is also a mountainous one, and based on the statement of the head physician of the district, they cover 65 kilometers of diameter in their services in very mountainous terrain, which is not really easy to reach. And on the other hand, the central hospital of Devashtich district was constructed back in the 1970s. When the number of population was much lower compared to current times, and also the medicine was not developed at that time. Thus, the building of the district hospital has not gone through any major renovation. On the other hand, currently Tajikistan has some budget scarcity issues, And unfortunately, the budget resources allocated by the government of Tajikistan for healthcare mostly covers the wages of the healthcare providers, leaving little to no money for improvement of the healthcare facilities and infrastructure. However, the government of Tajikistan, in cooperation with various development organizations, has been doing all possible measures in order to improve the access of people to quality healthcare services both in rural and urban areas across the country. For example, within our recent cooperation with the support of the German embassy in Tajikistan, we have renovated two operating theaters and the entire intensive care unit of this hospital. We just improved the facilities by replacing walls, doors, windows, and also ensuring some better hygiene and sanitation facilities, while the authorities of the district hospital were able to negotiate with the Ministry of Health and get some modern medical beds, which are already supplied in those units which we have renovated within our projects. Thus, in cooperation with both local authorities and the administration of healthcare facilities, we have been doing some synergies to improve access to quality healthcare services.
Now, when you talk about your district, how improvised is it? Would you say it's one of the most? It comes in the quadrant 4 in terms of when you look at the whole geography in your country, in poverty, or in terms of the capital, or the sort of the average income of the residents there.
Definitely, I cannot say that the district is very developed. Otherwise, there would have been no need for our interventions. Therefore, most of the people have been working both in agriculture, and some of the people are in labor migration, mostly going to Russia and Kazakhstan. These are the main sources of income by population. Disregard of this, the population at the local level is also generous enough. For example, within the school project, which we have implemented also through crowdfunding, the local population has also made its contribution both in kind and in cash in order to provide some conditions for their children. And within the healthcare project, which we have implemented in Devashtich District Central Hospital, the doctors of the hospital also made their small contribution, making about 5% of the total cost we have spent on the project in order to feel ownership and also to appreciate the support provided by other donors. In this regard, we also talked to the local authorities, representatives, and they have also been cooperating with other development partners to develop local development plan of the district, and also mobilize investments for some areas which have a great potential for development.
That's great. Hearing crowdfunding and how you're using crowdfunding, that's very innovative. I would say that you could also look at Kiva, look at KIVA. There are a lot of other crowdfunding units, but that is another great place you can register and raise funding. Now, you talked about education, and a lot of things I'll come to it, but just for my audience, I did a bit of research. And just to give you, the World Bank has invested, like I previously mentioned, about $1.4 billion. And out of that, over a period of time, and if you look at the portfolio, the maximum allocation has gone to energy, which is about 25%. Water and urban development is about 23%, and economic policy and public sector is 23%. So these are the top 3 sectors. Now, education, which is a very important sector, equitable, it's only about 7%. Now, you talked about a lot of interesting things. But there is a project. There are, just to take a couple of projects. You have a English Access Micro Scholarship Program, an English Courses project, which is supported by U.S. Embassy in Tajikistan. So, could you elaborate on these projects?
Sure. Before responding to your question, with your permission, I also would like to highlight one thing, that we also need to take into account the geographical location of Tajikistan. Tajikistan is located in neighborhood with Afghanistan, which has been the source of threat for not only countries of the region, but also for the entire global community. And Tajikistan has been suffering a lot compared to other even immediate neighboring countries of Afghanistan, because we share the longest border with Afghanistan, ranging 1,400 kilometers. And the majority of this borderline is located in a very complicated mountainous terrain, border management of which is not easy. And my government has also been making a lot of contingency expenditures or extra expenditures in order to ensure security of our border, which is important not only for security of Tajikistan, but also other countries of Central Asia and beyond. Therefore, my government has been doing its best to allocate money. So according to the statistics, you also might pay attention that the education and healthcare funding in the budget of our country has been increasing every year.
I'm very happy to hear that. Right.
Thank you. So with regards to your question about our English Access Micro Scholarship projects, this has been a great opportunity for both NGO Sadoqat and the beneficiaries of the project among school students in the areas of our operation. The NGO Sadoqat has implemented about 9 projects within this program in Shahristan and Eastern Rafshan districts, and we have covered about 1,400 school students through this program. Now, this program has enabled our beneficiaries to improve their English skills. And we are proud with our graduates. One of our graduates has been working in the United States now as a result of participation in our program on English Access. And also many of the students who have attended our courses through this program have also graduated from universities. And the most gratifying thing is that most of them have returned to their homelands and have continuing teaching or making their contribution in other areas of economy, which we are happy with, to be honest. We believe that this is our smallest contribution for the improvement of those rural communities.
Oh, okay. So, okay. And how do you think, you're doing this project? How important is the English language? You think that's hugely important for skill building, going to careers in Tajikistan? And of course, it's global language.
Definitely, I cannot, agree more that English is the major language of international communication at this current time. And Tajikistan, after gaining independence in 1992, has become an integrated member of the world community. And indeed, English language plays an important role in international relations of Tajikistan with other countries of the world. In this regard, English is also a very important language in our country as well. The government of Tajikistan, and particularly the president of my country, always draws the attention of our people to learning foreign languages, particularly English and Russian, as the most popular international communication languages. In this regard, we have been focusing on improvement of English skills because from one hand, if it enables our students to be able to communicate to their peers and friends from other parts of the world. On the other hand, this is a great opportunity for them to pursue their studies in the most prestigious universities of the world, to become highly qualified specialists and to serve for the development of the communities they live in. And we can be proud that several graduates from other well-known universities of the world have come back to Tajikistan, and they have created their startups, and they have been contributing to the development of our society.
Okay, nice to hear that. Now, you spoke about education, you spoke about healthcare. So there's something critical. You talked about partnerships. Now, if you look at, your government is also focusing on increasing the per GDP capital. I mean, that's which is one of the basic parameters as you progress in life and as you progress as a nation. One of them is an economic parameter. How do you think your non-profit can help in scaling projects? Now, that becomes very important, especially within livelihoods and healthcare. Do speak about it, and if you're looking for any global partnerships, do talk about that.
Sure, indeed. We have very ambitious goals in scaling up our international partnerships. Before commenting on this question, I also would like to highlight that we are really pleased with the current level of our cooperation with different partners. For example, thanks to our social media and also webpage we have created, some partners have already been approaching us to cooperate thanks to those principles we are guided by. These principles are mainly transparency, accountability, and participatory approach, because we are really community-based organization, and we do want to tailor our projects to the need of the communities where we work. We do not want to impose our own ideas. That would not work, definitely. Therefore, for example, recently, one of the development organizations, Terre de Home Germany, has approached us personally to cooperate with us, and thanks to our principles, which were in line with their requirements, we have been able to already obtain a grant amounting to 25,000 euro to implement another project on healthcare improvement in our Devashtich district. So within this project, we will renovate 4 pediatric wards and conduct 12 two-day sessions for 45 healthcare providers on 12 priority topics which were selected by the doctors themselves. And also we will conduct a campaign for 200 women to raise their awareness about the adequate child nutrition. This will be another contribution we will make to the healthcare development of our society. With regard to scaling up partnership, definitely we want to do more and we stand ready to cooperate with as many international partners as possible in order to be able to make our contribution for the development of priority areas in our economy. And also our main principle, as I already outlined, is ensuring transparency, accountability, and participatory approach. Our ambitious goal is to make our NGO a model for pursuing these principles, to ensure effective use of any cent of grant we receive from our distinguished donors. On the other hand, we also have our page on the Global Giving platform. People can also search us and find us at www.globalgiving.org and type NGO Sadoqat, where they can find the 2 projects we are running now, and we also stand ready to implement other projects which would benefit our rural communities. In the future, we also aim to nationalize our NGO, because currently the NGO Sadoqat is a regional NGO operating only in the northern part of Tajikistan, but in the future we want to nationalize it to be able to implement development projects in various corners of Tajikistan.
Okay, that's okay. You gave a very wide view. Now, I'm very happy to hear that you're getting funded. So, just a follow-up question: when you talk about non-profits, what sort of impact are they looking at? Do they look at accountability? Do they come out with a structure matrix, and they require you to do that? And secondly, how's been the response to Tajikistan? It's not a very visible country. You're a landlocked country. You spoke about your neighbors, and now right now you did talk about your concerns also with Afghanistan as your one of your neighbors. How do you think the international community has changed, response has changed over in the recent times? Also, I mean, if you could go and chat about that. Anything very journalistic. I mean, do you think it's gone up on a higher end in the last 5 years? You see, yeah, okay, more visibility has gone in. And what do non-profits, when they come to you, are they looking when the funders come to you, when you're getting invested, when investees are coming and funding you, or development organizations, are they looking at certain very specific parameters for accountability or social impact? Do they come out with that? Just on a
Thank you very much for your question. Let me just talk on behalf of NGO Sadoqat, because I do not want to take responsibility to talk about other NGOs of the country. Though I know a lot of other NGOs working in different areas, including on women and gender development, on the development of youth, environmental activities, decarbonization activities, and so many other areas. And I believe that every NGO has its own specific approach to the activities, to raising funds and to implement their activities. As for the NGO Sadoqat, definitely, as I already outlined previously to your previous question, we are for making this NGO a model for transparency, accountability, and participatory approach. In our belief, these are the main three principles which would enable the NGO to mobilize greater amount of funding to implement more projects for the development of our communities. As for the concerns, second part of your question, I believe that the international community has become more serious and started paying attention to stronger cooperation with Tajikistan, particularly due to the rapid change of the situation in Afghanistan. Because, as I already outlined earlier, Tajikistan, having shared the longest border with Afghanistan, plays a very important role for the security of not only Central Asian region, but beyond. Tajikistan has been serving as a buffer in terms of prevention of threats and challenges coming from Afghanistan. Therefore, I believe that the international community should cooperate more with the government of Tajikistan in order to ensure peace and stability in Afghanistan, and also make their contribution for the sustainable development in the region.
Yeah. I also got an idea. I mean, I don't know if it will work out, but Teach for All could be another venture where you could look at, for education. I think that could work out in things as a partnership. I was just offhand. And you talked about. I'm very glad that you talked a bit about Tajikistan. Now, this is the opportunity as a platform to talk about the culture, the cuisine, anything. So you could just share the history, talked about the civil war, but talk about anything which you would like to talk about your country.
Well, I would be very pleased to answer to this very pleasant question. First of all, I can confidently say that Tajikistan and the Tajik people are very hospitable country and people. Even according to our tradition, people do not eat themselves, but they reserve or they keep a piece of food or sweet for any guest who might come to their house. Therefore, Tajikistan has also a great opportunity for development of tourism, particularly ecotourism, medical tourism, mountaineering, and hunting. Therefore, the government of Tajikistan has already been undertaking many actions in order to improve tourism, including tourism infrastructure. And the government of the country welcomes investors to invest into the tourism sector of our country. Thus, already some incentives are provided by the government of Tajikistan, and we have introduced e-visa, which is a very simplified visa for people to get visa for 45 days for visiting our country as tourists. Therefore, any tourist or any person interested in Tajikistan can easily use these possibilities or opportunities provided by my country. On the other hand, Tajikistan is a very beautiful country in terms of nature. You can exercise 4 seasons of the year at the same time, coming from the northern part of the country, going up to the east. And also we have very unique mountains, mountainous nature. We also have the second highest peak of the world located in the landlocked areas. And we also have 13,000 glaciers. The biggest,
Okay, fantastic.
yeah,
That's
glacier.
amazing figure. I mean, I really want to come there. And after you have spoken about it, it sort of looks very enticing. Wonderful. I could see the landscape of 13,000. That's what you spoke about, glaciers.
Yes, unfortunately, due to the climate change, we had 14,000 and 1,000 of them have melted. And
Okay.
now we have 13,000. However, you might also have seen that the president of Tajikistan has also been urging or calling on the international community to pay attention to the water preservation issues, to the climate, to the protection of glaciers, which is the main source of water for the entire community, at least in our region and the global level. Therefore, please feel free to visit Tajikistan anytime. We would be very happy to show you the country and to tell about its culture. We have a very ancient culture. Recently, for example, some artifacts from our ancient history were also presented in an exhibition in Guim Museum in France. And I believe that you will really enjoy our culture, our traditions, whenever you have a chance to visit. I also would like to avail this opportunity to invite all tourists from various countries of the world to feel free to visit Tajikistan, because Tajikistan's government has been running open doors based policy. We are open for cooperation in any area with any country of the world who has good intentions for constructive friendship and cooperation.
Now, when we talk about Tajikistan, what would you be a stable food? What would you really be having every day? Just to, be curious about it.
Well, as I already outlined, 70% of the population in Tajikistan lives in rural area, and agriculture makes the larger share of our GDP. And we have diverse fruits and vegetables. Particularly, we have very quality fruits and vegetables produced in our country with no chemical, I can say, organic. And we also have very good dried fruits. which would be really useful. On the other hand, I just forgot to mention that Tajikistan has a great potential for hydropower. The annual capacity of my country is 527 billion kilowatt hours of electricity generation, which would be more than sufficient to supply the energy deficit countries of the region, including Pakistan, India, Iran, and other countries of Asia. We have surplus in summer, which also could be efficiently used by some countries which have deficit of energy in summer period. In this regard, the government has been implementing some large-scale hydropower projects, including Rogun facility, which would enable to fully supply not only the economy of Tajikistan with environmentally clean energy, but also the entire region. And on the other hand, 4 initiatives of Tajikistan on water action have been promulgated by the United Nations General Assembly through the unanimous support of all UN member states, which are being implemented at the global, regional, and local, as well as national levels very effectively. And my country has also been making a great contribution to the development of green economy, green energy, and also prevention of climate change, which is one of the very acute issues drawing the attention of the entire international community.
Now, before I come to the last question, which is the AHA question, which is a very personal question, would you like to share with the audience any project with NGO Sadoqat, which you feel you really are passionate about? Now, and what line of focus is your non-profit going in? I know they are in healthcare, they are in education, they are in livelihoods, but what would be now the main focus going forward for a non-profit?
Very good question. Thank you very much. I believe that we will continue working on education and healthcare in rural areas of Tajikistan. And you might ask a question, why? Because we are of belief that without health, without solid health, nobody can do anything. And without education, we cannot do anything for our development. Everything, every achievement the humanity has made so far is based on science, based on learning, based on education. Therefore, these are the 2 main areas we would like to focus on. We are really passionate about this project on healthcare we have been doing so currently. Because the Devashtich District Central Hospital has a greater need than we have done so far. As I already outlined at the beginning, the hospital hasn't gone through any major reconstruction or renovation since it was constructed in 1970. Therefore, we need to do still a lot in order to bring this hospital in line with the requirements to ensure the access of rural people to healthcare. On the other hand, we are really passionate about education sector, particularly the population of Tajikistan is annually growing in a very fast speed. It makes 2.4% annually at this current stage. And accordingly, the number of students at the schools, preschool facilities is increasing every year. The government of Tajikistan has been doing all possible measures in order to construct new school facilities. However, the budget has not been sufficient so far. We are also interested in development of preschool facilities because according to the statistics, currently only 15% of our children are covered by preschool facilities. I just would like to mention that back in 2014, I have started fundraising for establishment of a preschool facility in my own village, and so far the kindergarten has been successfully operating by covering 100 children. I would like, we are interested to further improve the situation with preschool facilities in remote areas of my country.
Yeah, I think that's a very important sector. Preschool, I think this is one of the most significant parts of an education of getting a foundation is right there in the beginning. You talk about Tajikistan. I know you talked about, and we just want to follow up. How difficult is the language to learn? Is it a very difficult language to learn? You're in you interpret languages, you communicate.
Actually, no. Tajik, I would say that Tajik language is not that difficult to learn. It is it is from the Romano-Germanic families of languages, and it is much more easy to learn. Definitely, I think that you need to love the language and any job you do. If you have really, eagerness, if you are keen to do anything, you can do everything very difficult, very successfully. Therefore, I think that I would not say Tajik is a difficult language for learning, and I would be very happy to share my experience in learning Tajik language.
Oh, great, thank you. First, I really want to now thank you. You've come out here, you've shared a lot of experience. I really hope that you keep going forward. You're doing great work. A lot of work is so helpful for the society. Giving affordable education, giving equitable healthcare system, empowering women. I think these are the topics which are so important for people around the world, not only for Tajikistan, for globally, for every country. It could be whether it's an advanced country, whether it's a developing country, it could be anybody. So I appreciate taking time speaking with me for the Middle Road platform, and I really wish you all the very best with your non-profit, and I hope you achieve all the goals which you set out for.
I also would like to take this opportunity to offer my heartfelt gratitude to you for creating this wonderful website or your startup, and for doing a great job by promoting social impact and development. And definitely thank you very much indeed for choosing our NGO among your clients, among your partners to talk to. It was really a great pleasure and honor to talk to you. And I do hope that our distinguished readers will read and watch this program, among other interesting programs you have done so far, with a great interest. And this will also enable us to raise more funds for the needs of the communities we have been working for. And I do hope that this podcast will also enable further promotion of your wonderful startup.
Thank you. And do look at Kiva platform also. I think it's a cutting edge platform. It helps very woman specific. So women empowerment projects or entrepreneurship could be one part of it, which you could look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Have a good time.